Welcome to Realiteen Talks. My name is Gary McGuey, high school practice leader for FranklinCovey Education. Each week, we're here to take on the real challenges of teen life. Let's talk. Welcome to today's episode, Accepting Disappointment. Please listen, take notes, discuss how the group explains their thoughts around accepting disappointment. Here's a few things that we will hear from the group. Disappointment can be healthy or unhealthy depending on our mindset. Secondly, disappointment is actually an opportunity to learn and grow. Don't let it defeat us, rather use it as a learning experience. Thirdly, talk it over. When we're feeling disappointed, talk it over with someone you value and respect, or write down your feelings in a journal. Expressing feelings may help us move past the disappointment and into a more productive space. Realiteen checks time. We heard the team share some valuable, tangible ideas, journaling, talking with a person whom we trust. We need to let go of the word perfection and focus more on our behaviors. Did I give my best effort? What did I learn? What will I do next time? Failure is fertilizer, and everyone listening to this podcast has and will experience disappointment. Remember, disappointment is inevitable. Continuing to belabor the feeling and not move forward is a choice. Think, reflect, journal after the recording, and make some minor commitments. Enjoy the episode. Welcome everybody to Realiteen Talks. Our topic this week, accepting disappointment. Let's meet today's panel. We have Akanksha, Janaya, and Amber. Welcome, team. Thanks for being here today. So let's just get right into this. Accepting disappointment. When you hear these two words, what are your first initial thoughts?
I think of how hard accepting disappointment can be. People hear that and they're like, oh, well, why do I want to do that when I could just avoid it? But disappointment is something that you can't avoid in your life, and knowing how to deal with it and make the best of it and learn from your experience, I think is really important.
Nice, thank you.
I know the first thing I think of is mindset. Everything depends so much on your mindset. So how do you choose to look at accepting disappointment? Like any kind of disappointment in your life, are you going to look at it with a positive mindset or a negative mindset?
To echo both what Akanksha and Janaya said, I would say that I think that accepting disappointment means coming to terms with what you're handed, but also making the best of what you were given.
Yeah, great points, great comments, team. So this past year plus, accepting disappointment, you've had probably more examples than you care to think about. I'm just curious, how have you been dealing with the various disappointments, whether it's graduation, sporting events, just being able to hang out with our friends? What are some of the things that you're doing to maintain?
I know personally for me, I like to think of it as whenever there's a disappointment, there's also a little opportunity that opens up. And so trying to find those little pockets of opportunities that I can and trying to make the most of them has been one of the ways that I've been coping with disappointment.
Amber, Janaya, anything to add to that one?
I think for me, in the beginning, what I think the thing that stands out to me the most would be grades. With being online, math for me especially was really hard, and my grade wasn't what I would have wanted it to be because being online was so hard. And learning how to cope and understand that I'm trying my best, and my best has to be enough. And understanding myself and looking deeper and bettering my own self-image, being everything that I do, as long as I put 110% into it, it has to be enough for me. That's for my overall emotional health. So I think that was a really important lesson that I needed to learn with accepting disappointment. I'm going to be disappointed in my grade, but I'm trying my best. So that, that's going to be it.
Just thinking about this word, and I had a discussion with the group the other day about this word perfection. And sometimes we strive for perfection, or sometimes we expect perfection from maybe groups we're working with. And I think sometimes when we expect perfection, sometimes we may feel disappointed or let down, right? So what would you say to that? How do you deal with that when sometimes maybe we set the bar too high for ourselves, or do we set the bar too high for ourselves?
I think the word perfection, the definition changes from time to time. I don't think it has a set definition. And I feel like disappointments, whatever we have, just change the definition of it. But that doesn't mean that it's bad. Like a certain disappointment like grades might change the way that you view perfection, but that's only in a good way.
That's good. Amber, were you going to add something to that?
I would add on that I think, so everybody has a view of perfection, but everybody's view of perfection is different. So it's just, I guess, understanding that your level of perfection is not other people's level of perfection. And like we said, accepting that. And I guess that could be a disappointment for some, but it's sort of a reality.
Just listening to you, and I think sometimes we hear the word disappointment and it has somewhat of a negative connotation to it, doesn't it? Right? Disappointment. But I've heard, as we're talking here today, I heard the word mindset. Maybe there could be a different word than disappointment. I'm just wondering what could be more of that doesn't have a negative connotation, because I think we need these, we always say that failure is fertilizer, use it to get better. We want these, I think Akansha, you said that they're opportunities. I'm just wondering if there's a more, I don't know, a positive term or a word to use here instead of disappointment.
Maybe learning experiences, because every time you make a mistake or you're disappointed in something, you learn from it, and it's a way to do things differently to change to a better outcome. So I think learning experience would maybe fit better.
Nice. What are some other strategies you might say for dealing with, like Akansha, you said earlier about looking for opportunities? That beautiful mindset, beautiful. When we are disappointed with something, we're human, right? We're gonna feel a little down at times when we're disappointed. That's okay, right? We don't want to have mask it and not accept it. What would you say are some tools, strategies to get over that obstacle, that hurdle, that down feeling of disappointment? What do you do for yourself when you're feeling this way?
For me, I think the biggest part that got me through a lot of this year, just having someone to talk to, like having someone to voice your disappointments with, and having someone to talk with you and talk things through and make sense of what happened and how you can do it better, and also like map out how you're going to go about that and how you're going to get that end result that you prefer. I think having an outside view looking in on your situation is a really good tool to use.
I also think I liked how Janaea said disappointment is like a learning opportunity. So I think accepting disappointment can also be defined positively as growing from those, or using those learning experiences to remember that it's gonna get better. Like it's not the end. Which sometimes we do think of when we think of disappointment. We think, oh, this is the end. Like there's no way that we could come back up, when there really is. So I know for me personally, this year it was just about, just sitting down for a while and thinking through it, and like knowing it's okay. Like this is just one step of the whole staircase. There's so many more steps, and all of them are positive. Just this one bad step on the staircase is not gonna ruin the journey. So just growing from those learning experiences, making the most of them. I know that sounds different when you think about it, like how do I grow from my disappointments? But I feel like a disappointment is the perfect opportunity for you to grow as a person, to grow, mentally.
It's really good. Yeah.
To echo off that, I would say for me personally, I've learned to sort of take a step back, and because I feel like you get so much in your head and you keep thinking about it and you sort of wallow in your feelings, but to take a step back and really sort of look from a different perspective, it sort of changes your thought process on what that disappointment is and also how you can grow and move forward.
That's really great comments, all three of you. Thank you so much. So team, let's just bring it back here. You know, our goal here is to provide hope, tools, strategies for our listeners, right? And which you've been doing brilliantly thus far. I always like to ask, what's one thing from your experience, what's one thing you would suggest, a concrete idea or a concrete thing that you do that would help others in this discussion around accepting disappointment?
For me, a huge part of accepting disappointment is also accepting that you're only human. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to have those times where you're just totally let down, whether it's by yourself or by a peer or a family member. And you have to understand that mistakes are going to be made. Things are going to happen that are out of your control. And I think understanding that, accepting that part about yourself, accepting that you're not going to be perfect and no one is going to ever achieve perfection on all levels, because everyone is different and everyone has their own flaws. Accepting those flaws about yourself is huge in a step forward in accepting disappointment.
For me,
I think what Amber mentioned earlier, just looking at it from a different perspective, I think is a very big deal too. You know, just when you look at something from a different perspective, it doesn't seem as major. You know, like both Janiyah and Amber said, just stepping back for a second and just looking at it from a different perspective and accepting that who you are may not always be perfect. You know, it's up to you to create your own definition of perfection. You know, my definition of perfection may not be the same as Amber's. It may not be the same as Janiyah's, but remembering that to me, I'm perfect. Just remember, like, you know, make your own definition is very important.
Great.
to add on to that, I would say a physical way that I have taken a step back is just to write down your thoughts in a journal, because you write it down and you pour your heart and soul into whatever you're writing. And then you come back a few days later and you're like, it's, first of all, it's liberating to just write down. It's like talking to a friend, but it's a little more, you can be a little more uncensored depending on your relationship with other people. But anyway, just writing it down and then coming back and you're like, wow. And it's sort of different from your perspective now when you were so impassioned about it to later when you're like a little more calmed down.
3 fantastic, brilliant ideas, ladies. I heard journaling, just to get those feelings down. Janiyah, basically be gentle with ourselves. Understand we're going to have those mistakes. And Akansha, just maybe just looking at it from a different perspective at times. Step back, re-examine. Remember, we are not a disappointment. It's the experience that's disappointing, not us, right? So, team, that was fantastic. You guys just nailed it. So I just want to say thank you very much. We will see you all down the road. Stay safe and hope to see you soon. Take care, everybody. Thanks so much. Thanks for tuning in. Subscribe to Realiteen Talks on YouTube, Apple, or Spotify, and leave a review or comment. We'd love to hear from you.